Welcome. We're glad to have everybody join us today. So this is the second in our three-part series of Women in STEM, and we're highlighting industries that are often overlooked by women as being viable career options. We appreciate the Women's Foundation of Oklahoma who sponsored this, made it possible, and also I appreciate the vision and the work of a couple of people here at OSU-OKC, Terry Kleinfelter, the department chair of construction management, and Dr. Evan Berkala, the division head for STEM. So today, like I said, this is the second in our three-part series. We're highlighting survey industry, and we're privileged to have Christina Campbell, who is in the survey industry. We're going to ask her for an introduction. First, though, I'm Cheryl Heaton Powers. I'm an associate professor in business administration here at OSU-OKC. This school also offers two-year associate degrees in survey industry, and I believe you graduated from here with that degree. So let's hear some more about you.
I'm Christina Campbell. I'm from a small town just east of McAllister called Adamson, where I live with my husband and our two boys who are 10 and 14. So I graduated from a small high school just south of McAllister. And I really had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, other than I knew I had like a love for animals, and I thought I'd pursue veterinary school. But I went on to graduate high school and decided to try the veterinary school thing. And I completed my first year, returned home, and I did not go back. So I was just kind of in this weird stage where I'm like, which way do I want to go with my life kind of thing. So I had worked at a few office jobs, and life happened. We had kids, got married to my high school sweetheart, and I decided I would try my hand at human services. So I started working there in McAllister. 6 months in, I decided it's not really something that I wanted to make a career of. So I was back on the hunt for what I wanted to do with my life. And that's how I just kind of fell into this profession.
How did you find out? Well, first of all, what's your title, current title?
I am a transportation specialist.
Okay. So how did you end up? So you're exploring different careers. How did you end up in this? How did you find out about it?
I just got online, and I knew I wanted to stay with the state. So I got online, looked at the job careers, and I saw one that said transportation specialist. We are a family who are very outdoorsy. We love to hunt, fish, baseball, all of it. So I read the job description, and it was very vague. And I thought, I'll be outside, I'll be flagging traffic, but I'll be outside, love the outdoors. I think this would be a good fit for me.
Okay, so when I hear the title, though, transportation specialist, I don't immediately think surveying.
No, I had never heard of land surveying. And, I was 23 years old at this time and had no idea what this was, what this profession was. So after talking to my husband, we decided, hey, let's try it out. So I applied, and I did get a call. I came in, had an interview with the PLS and one of the field hands. And
the PLS is?
The PLS, it's a professional land surveyor. He's the licensed surveyor. So had an interview. They gave me a very, very general rundown of the position. So I left the interview still clueless about what land surveying is. I'm thinking, yes, I'm just going to be hanging out in the woods, cutting brush, things like that. And about a week later, I got a phone call, and they offered me the job. And I was shocked. I didn't think, they did tell me I was the only woman applicant. And I didn't think they'd be calling me, but they did. And so I accepted the position, and I began.
And how long ago was that?
That was 10 years ago last month.
Okay. So, and you've been in the same with the same employer, I'll put it that way.
Yes.
Because you've advanced
Yes,
through
I
that.
was with the Department of Human Services, and now I'm with the Department of Transportation.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so what does your day-to-day look like? What are the tasks that, and we can start with your first position, I think. What were some of the tasks you did with that first position? And then what are the tasks now?
So when I began, like I said, I was the only female on the crew. And I was at the very bottom. And so I'd get to work and I'd have the trucks filled up. I'd have all the equipment loaded in the trucks, and we had to be out of the door by 7:15. And so fill the water jugs up for the day if we needed, things like that. And then we'd just go out to the field, and some days we were cutting brush all day. And that crew, they expected me to put in the same amount of work as everybody else. They treated me like I was just another one of the crew members. Like I said, if a brush axe needed to be swung, they handed me one, and I had to do my part. If asphalt needed to be chopped, they handed me a sledgehammer and an axe, and I was expected to do my part on that as well. But it was different each day. There are different phases of the project that we do, but everybody did their part.
How many people are typically on a crew?
Typically, there's 3 to 4 on a crew, and then you have your licensed surveyor.
Okay, so are your daily tasks different now at this stage in your career than they were when you started?
Yes, at this stage they are. I am now the field crew chief. So I oversee the crew, and then I report to my PLS.
Okay. What is the best part of your job? And this is a follow-up question, maybe. What makes you proud to work in the industry?
I would say the best part of my job is honestly getting to be outdoors. I love it. It is a new office setting every day. You meet new people every day. Like I said, you have different scenery, and you learn things every day. It's different terrain. It's a lot of different scenarios, and you're challenged every day with properties and things like that. And
what makes you proud to work in this industry?
Oh,
Was that a question?
What makes me proud is that I am a female, and I have progressed to where I am today as a female. With all of the obstacles I faced to get here, I feel like I have I've really overcome a lot, and I have 2 kids that are watching me, and I want to make them proud.
What have been some of those obstacles that you faced?
So 6 months into this job, I decided I wanted to pursue my license. That required that I get a 2-year degree. So I enrolled for the spring semester, and about a week before the semester started, I found out that I had masses on my thyroid. So we were faced with, the decision whether to reduce my hours or drop out, or we just needed to talk to my doctors. And so we did that, and we decided just to go ahead and do it, just do it all, get it over and done with. I had a great support system. My employer was there for me. The college said they would work with me. So the semester starts, and I'm having biopsies done all first month of January. And then we decided, let's just go ahead and have it removed. And so we do that. And this degree is, for the most part, online. So that made it very, very easy. But we found out that it was cancer, and they wanted to go in and get the rest of it. So we did that. I had 2 surgeries my first semester. But I got through it. The college was very, very merciful, understanding, supportive. And so was my employer. So got through that first semester. thinking we're all good to go. And I go into the summer semester and take any classes that I can, because, I really didn't want to lose that momentum. So I finished the summer semester and I am referred in for radiation treatments. So towards the end of my fall semester, I start my radiation treatments, and they're not your typical in and out treatments. It's more of you have a 6-week prep before the treatment. And then for the treatment, you are in isolation for the whole duration, and it could take anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks. So, like I said, with the degree being completely online, that was very, very convenient, because while I was in isolation, I could just do all my work there, no distractions, just get through my treatments. So I get through my first round of radiation and finish out that fall semester. And I have 1 more semester to go. So I finish out that semester, that next spring semester, and I graduate. And in that spring semester that I graduated, I had my 2nd round of radiation, and I came out with a cancer-free diagnosis. So
What a story.
Yes.
My goodness. I mean, college is enough, and so is family. And so you were working
I
during
was
this
working
too, right?
full-time for ODOT, had 2
Full-time
cute little
school.
boys,
Wow,
school full-time.
that's great. And I think you said anybody can do it,
Oh,
that
definitely.
you feel like. However, I did have to point out that that's an exceptional story. So anyway, but it's good to hear that there are those options, and it's good that you had a support system.
Definitely.
It sounds like too. So speaking of support systems in your career, do you think that groups related to surveying are a helpful thing to be a part of?
While I was going to school, I am part of a group called the OSLS, the Oklahoma Society of Land Surveyors. They put on a big convention every year for all of the licensed surveyors to get their continuing education to keep their license active. As a licensed surveyor, you are required, I think, to have 12 credit hours of education every year. So the OSLS puts on like a 2.5-day conference, and all the surveyors can just come get all their 12 hours in those 2.5 days and be done with it. I received a scholarship through the OSLS, which was very, very, very helpful, seeing as I was going through all these cancer treatments and whatnot. So you can imagine the medical bills that were popping up.
So you really kind of got connected as a student even before
Yes.
you were licensed. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
very good. So you were talking about with starting out, you clearly had some exceptional challenges, but still managed to get through it. But if you could go back in time when you were starting out in the career, what is one thing you wish you would have known? This is kind of maybe like tips and hacks for somebody who's thinking about getting into the industry.
My biggest piece of advice is to not listen to other people's opinions. That's sort of another obstacle I faced. I can remember I would deal with locators and contractors, and I would meet with them, and they would just first opinion, I guess, they would just tell me straight up, this is not a place for women. This is not a woman's job. And it was discouraging. And sometimes I let it get to me. There were times that I would feel like giving up and breaking down. And like I said, I had a great support system. So you just really need to just set your goal and focus on that, and just keep your sights in front of you. Do not listen to what other people, the negativity, things like that. Just
Press on.
Keep going.
Okay, that's good advice. And I'm sorry to hear that you faced those challenges. Were there, I mean, that was a specific example. What other challenges have you faced as a woman in this industry?
When I started, like I said, I was the only female on the crew. So
There's not really a lot of mentors that are women in the.
no, there's not. And that's true. And as far as that goes, there was things like, we'd go to the field, and sometimes our jobs were remote. And like I said, I was expected to put in the same amount of work as other people. If there wasn't a restroom nearby, I had to figure it out, things like that. But I was very aware of things like that were included in the position. But no, sometimes you feel lonely, and you get that sense of like, that you're just kind of the odd man out.
So you told a story earlier about, of course, this is construction related, it sounds like. This is it's not a challenge from the past necessarily. This is something that happens regularly, daily, or currently, maybe I should say. Do you remember the story you were telling about someone in construction, I believe it was, at a hardware store, a building supply store?
Yes.
Do you mind sharing that?
Um,
Maybe not. Well, okay, let me go at it this way. So I was at a conference with women in higher ed, and they were talking about the higher ed group was not STEM related, but they were talking about STEM and how females are not commonly encouraged to go into STEM degrees or careers. And this is people from all around the world, women. It was women in this room at the time. And one of them finally said, wait, now is this a thing in the US? And we found out she's from Russia. And she said, in Russia, math, women are considered at least as good as, or girls in school early on are considered as good as boys in math, sometimes better. And she said, so that's a thing in the US? And yeah, it is. So have you found that to be a cultural thing around here, that girls and women are not considered to be as good, or maybe not encouraged?
Yes, and I experienced it whenever I applied and I started the course, and we could have our online study groups, and I get to looking at all the students, and I want to reach out and connect and have a study group, and it was predominantly male, and it's when you're married and you don't want to reach out to other males and connect with them like that, for study groups. And so there was some hesitation there, and there was some doubt, should I be doing this, or can I do this? But 100% my support group is what got me through all that.
So it sounds like finding that support group, it could be a key.
Definitely.
For females in studying it or going into the industry.
Yes.
Okay. Those are helpful, I think, for people to hear. Let's see. What do we want to explore next? Oh, I was going to ask you, you were talking about field work. There's a lot of field work that you're doing and some of the different things that you do. Now, there's some amount of office work, I understand, and you mentioned dealing with CAD systems, computer work.
Yes.
So what would you say is sort of the percentage of field work versus office work?
I would say it's pretty even, with surveying for the state, we are the first step in construction. So we go out there, we collect all of the data, everything that's out there. We show every mailbox, every water meter, every house, every driveway, everything that's out there that you can see, even the underground utilities, overhead utilities, drainage structures, all of it. We have to go out and collect all that data on a GPS unit, and that in itself is a learning experience. But we go out, we collect all of that, we make sure we get all the field work done, and then we come into the office, we draft all of it up and make like this really awesome 3D model of it. And that CAD drafting software it's challenging, but it's very good to know it. It's very helpful in your career.
An important tool, it sounds like.
Very. And that is something that all of us in the office do. So
does everybody on the team do that? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Everybody, I might have someone draft up all the utilities. I may have someone draft up all of the drainage structures, things like that. But for the most part, everybody knows how to do all of it.
Okay. So you were telling earlier, this was a fun story. It sounded like something that you like about the work that's not necessarily directly, well, I guess it is related to a task because you're finding the monuments. Tell us
Mhm.
about the monuments that you
Oh,
have.
yes, that's one of my favorite parts of the project. We have to go out and we call it land ties. So we go out, we tie the sections down by finding each section corner. And, we pull the history of it and, these section corners, some of them are originally set back in the 1800s. And it is very exciting to find those. I mean, just to see an original stone with all the carvings and just just all the markings and all the original references. It's pretty incredible to find something like that hasn't been disturbed or replaced. And just to read back on the history of it, it's just sometimes it's just crazy to find something that's so close to a home or a highway that just has not been touched, and it's been so well preserved. But sometimes there's we have to hike in a mile because some of them are not accessible by road. So we have to pack up our equipment and hike in, and we just have to find it. But it's an amazing challenge. And when you find it, sometimes you could just be standing right over it and you're just like, where in the world is this rock? And it's right there, and it's just really exciting.
Okay. You said you have equipment that you have to pack
Mhm.
in sometimes. What kind of equipment do you all use?
We call it our rover. It's a GPS head and a data collector that's on a pole. And we also have to carry in shovels, axes, things, chainsaw if we need to, if it's very wooded, which down there in the southeast part of the state, we deal with that a lot. Yeah,
Those are the big ones.
yeah.
How do you balance, or is it difficult to balance work and personal life with this kind of job?
No, with the state, we work 4 10-hour days. So we work Monday through Thursday. So I have Fridays off, which is really nice. But no, when you get to work, you're there, you're doing your job. But when it's time to leave, it's time to leave. You leave it there until the next day.
So tell me about the differences in working for the state like you do,
Mhm.
or a
Private.
private,
Private side.
or self-employed. I understand those are three primary
Yes.
paths.
With the state, they are, on the private side, time is money, and it is like that with the state, but more so with the private side and working for yourself. With the state, we have more time to gather all of the information, process it, things like that. But on the private side, you're working for a company, they want it done right then and there. And so, you're out there probably more than 5 days a week, and you want to get that contract finished and turned in. Because like I said, time is money.
Okay, thank you. Before, I'm going to ask you if there's anything we missed, but before I do that, I want to be sure that we don't have any other questions coming in from our online audience. So I'll give folks a chance to send those in if they have them. But I wanted to ask you, is there something that we have not covered that you think is important that you want to talk about today?
Surveying is a male dominated field of work. But I am seeing more and more women show interest and come into this field of work, which is very exciting to see. And I think it's very safe to say that there is absolutely nothing in this field of work, in this career, that a woman cannot do. From simply holding a rod to establishing center lines and section corners, it's all 100% achievable, regardless of whether you're a male or a female.
It's good message. It's good. More people need to hear that.
Yeah.
So, especially females. Anything else you want to share with us today? Any questions yet from audience? Okay. Any other advice you would have for women considering going into the field?
Coming from someone whose mother passed away when I was 17, I've been homeless. I have slept on my friends' couches. I've had no idea sometimes where my next meal was coming from. So, I've faced a lot of hardships. I've been lost in this world. That I had to choose, not anyone else, because nobody else was going to do it for me. I had to choose whether or not to give up or to move on and make something of myself. Because I know that my mother would not have allowed me to give up. But if it wasn't for the love and support of my family and the mercy and compassion from this college and just and the love from my family, there's no way I would be here able to share my story. So I really believe that no matter what your situation is, you can achieve anything.
It's a good message. Again, you had a lot of challenges. You explored different careers, but found the right one for you. It sounds like a good fit.
Definitely.
Very good. Well, we thank you for being here, being a panelist for us and sharing your story and your advice and your path. We appreciate that very much. And again, thanks to the Women's Foundation of Oklahoma. And we will have our third in this series next week. And we hope you'll join us then, be able to join us to meet some other fascinating people.